Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of What the Insurance. Today, we're going to have a demo where we compare explanation of benefits to a provider bill. This is something that we've talked about in prior episodes, and I promised you guys a demo. So today, here it is. We've discussed in-network versus out-of-network in almost every video: medical, dental, and all of the other things we've talked about. We even had an entire video dedicated to understanding networks. Why is that? Networks are so important because understanding them can be the difference between you spending lots of money or little to no money for your health expenses. So I just want to give you a quick reminder of a tip we talked about in a prior episode. Providers that are in a particular network have a contract with that network to only charge within a certain range of costs for different services. If a provider is not in the network, they do not necessarily have that contract, and they can charge pretty much whatever they want for those services. The amount owed after your insurance pays their portion is called a balance bill. It's very important to compare all of your bills that you receive from the doctor's offices and hospitals to your explanation of benefits that you receive from your insurance company before you pay. That's the key. Compare before you pay. Your explanation of benefits from the insurance carrier will identify the exact amount you owe a provider. When you receive your provider's bill, if it's correct, it should line up identically to your explanation of benefits. If you don't check this first and instead you pay the bill without checking your explanation of benefits, and then you later determine that you didn't owe that amount, or worse, may not have even owed anything at all, it's very difficult, almost impossible, to get a hospital or doctor's office to give you a refund. And that's why it's so important to compare before you pay. That way you pay going in with the confidence, knowing that this is the exact amount that you owe. So let's get into it, shall we? Today I will show you a demo on comparing a hospital bill to an explanation of benefits. You will see a sample provider bill. There's a few things I want to point out on this screen. The first thing I want to point out is at the top of the screen in the black bar, you're going to see some identifying information. This is going to tell you who this bill is for. This part is important if you have a family on the plan because you may be receiving a bill for your spouse or for your dependent children. So it's important to note the patient name and the account number and the service dates, as well as the facility. That's going to confirm for you that this bill is indeed a legitimate bill for the person that they say it's supposed to be for. For example, if you receive a bill like this and it has your name on it, but the facility is wrong, or you never actually had services on the service they provided, then that's definitely something you want to question with your provider. The other thing I want you to note is if you go down on the left-hand side, you're going to see a summary of charges with the description of what you're being charged for, and then the amount that was billed to your insurance company. On the right-hand side, you'll see your primary insurance company, and if you have a secondary insurance company, that should be listed here as well. And then you'll see, again, a reminder of the total charges that was billed to your insurance company, and then the amount that the provider says that you owe. So in this example, the amount that was billed to the insurance company is $439, and the amount that you owe is $196.82. Here you will see a sample explanation of benefits. There are a few things I want to call out on this page. In the top right-hand corner, you'll see a box that also will include identifying information, very similar to the top box on the provider bill. That's very important because you also want to use this to compare to your provider bill to make sure that the member that they are billing you for, or the patient's name, is the right person. Again, this is very important if you have a family on the plan. You want to make sure that the bill you receive from the provider's office for that particular member of your family lines up with the explanation of benefits that you receive from the insurance company for that particular member of your family. Again, if you see a discrepancy, that would be a good point to call out, whether with your insurance company or your provider office. The next thing I want you to know is in the middle of the screen, in all caps, you see a line that says explanation of benefits notice. This is not a bill. This is very important. Your explanation of benefits should always say this is not a bill, because that is a reminder to you that this particular item is not what you will use to pay your provider. You're going to want to use the bill you receive from your provider to pay them after you verify that the amount on that bill matches up with the amount on your explanation of benefits. The next thing to call attention to is the descriptive box. So you see the service description, which again tells you what that service was for, the dates of service, it tells you the amount that was billed to the insurance company, it tells you the amount that was not payable, and if you look in the column to the right of that column, it says see note section. Note section below, 908, says provider negotiated discount. You are not responsible for this amount. Your claim was processed at the in-network level of benefits. This is a high deductible health plan. So this note is important because it goes back to having a provider that's in the network. This is an in-network discount that is received just because this provider is in the network. So that $242.18 is the amount of money that is just not payable because this provider is in the network. And then what that leaves is, if you go all the way to the right-hand column, the column that says provider may bill you the amount $196.82. That's the amount that you want to match up and line up to your provider bill to make sure that the amount you're paying is the actual amount you owe. And you also can use the amount billed, that $439, as a key identifier to make sure that the explanation of benefits you are using lines up with the provider bill you received. And the reason why I say that's important is because sometimes if you have a hospital stay or an emergency room bill, there may be multiple providers that bill you because you've seen multiple people or you had multiple services during that visit or that stay. And if that happens, you want to make sure you're comparing the right explanation of benefits to the right provider bill for that particular service or doctor that you saw. And so that's why looking at that amount billed is definitely going to be a key identifier to make sure that the provider bill you're looking at is the right one to compare to this explanation of benefits. I apologize for the small print here, but I wanted you all to be able to see what it looks like when you actually sit down and compare the provider bill to the explanation of benefits. So if you look on your left-hand side, a reminder, you'll see here that the amount billed to the insurance company was $439 and the amount due is $196.82. That is what the provider is saying that this member owes. If you look on the right-hand side on the explanation of benefits, you'll see that the amount billed is $439 and the column that says provider may bill you is $196.82. Those two numbers line up identical to this bill. So what that says to me as a patient looking at this, I am supposed to pay that $196.82. Now it is safe for me to call my provider and pay that bill, knowing that my explanation of benefits lines up exactly to my provider bill. If you come across a discrepancy at any point in time, like I said earlier, maybe you see that the member name or patient name does not line up on the provider bill and the explanation of benefits, or maybe you don't recognize the service date or even the service that the provider is billing you for. Or maybe you determine that the amount billed does not line up to the provider bill, or you determine that the amount you may owe on your explanation of benefits does not line up to the amount the provider is billing you. If at any point you determine any of those discrepancies, it's definitely important that you contact your insurance company first to get to the bottom of it, and then contact your provider office to also get to the bottom of the situation, just to make sure that everything is lined up before you make a payment. The last thing I want to point out on the sample screen here on the right-hand side is at the bottom of your explanation of benefits. In most cases, most insurance companies will provide you with an example of or an explanation of what you have met thus far towards your deductible. This is going to be helpful in making sure that you're not being charged past your deductible depending on the kind of plan you have. In this case, because this member has a high deductible health plan, this is very important because on this plan, after the member meets their deductible, all of their benefits kick in at 100% for the rest of the year. So if at any point in time they know they've met their deductible by looking at this explanation of benefits and they're still being charged for services, that's another discrepancy that should be questioned and called out. So as we close out this week's episode, I definitely want to leave you with some key takeaways. The first key takeaway is it's always important to compare your explanation of benefits to your provider bill before you pay. Remember, compare before you pay. And the second key takeaway is don't be afraid to ask questions if something doesn't align. If you notice any discrepancy or you just seem to be confused about what's going on or what you're looking at, it's okay to call your insurance company and ask questions. They can help you walk through every line of your explanation of benefits so you feel more comfortable and confident when you're comparing it to your bill and when you're making a decision of whether or not this is something you should pay or shouldn't pay. So thank you guys for joining this week. As always, I am very appreciative of your time. All right, follow me on Instagram. You can find me at what_the_insurance, where you'll find my archive videos as well as some other interesting things I may post throughout the week. Like and subscribe on my YouTube page. The link is in the descriptions below. And join me again next week, where we will journey into the world of EAP, or Employee Assistance Program. Thank you and have a great rest of your week.